Hi friends, it's me, Milo. Welcome to the lower extremity area of Anatomy Land. For this section of the body, we'll explore the Roman Empire, a land of gods, gladiators, and femurs? Anyway, we're in for a truly legendary adventure. We'll begin in Rome with the anatomical structures that surround the hip joint. The hip joint is a very stable ball and socket joint in which the head of the femur articulates with the acetabulum of the pelvic or hip bone. Without the hip joint, the lower extremity would not exist. The gluteal and femoral or thigh regions both have muscles that act on the hip joint, but we'll begin with the gluteal region, the most proximal part of the lower extremity. The gluteal region contains 9 muscles and is located posterolaterally to the pelvic girdle and proximal end of the femur, between the iliac crest superiorly and the gluteal fold inferiorly. Today, we'll visit the Colosseum. Just as the Colosseum towered over Rome, we'll discuss the 4 superficial gluteal muscles closest to the surface of the body. Together, they work to abduct, extend, and rotate the femur, and in turn, the lower limb as a whole. Later, we'll delve beneath the Colosseum to visit the deep gluteal region, where we'll find the muscles who work behind the scenes. Let's get ready to rumble! Wow, look at the Colosseum floor. It's the Gluteus family, gladiatorial kings of the arena, hyping up the crowd before our events today. They're on a traditional podium with 3 levels, each reserved for one legendary family member. Look at their headbands, embroidered with the famous gluteal crest, representing that these muscles are in the gluteal region. In Anatomy Land's ancient Rome, apparently the butt cheeks were a proud symbol of the Gluteus family's greatness. The great general, Gluteus Maximus, stands at the highest podium level. He's a mighty gladiator and has notched dozens of victories in the Colosseum. Today, to hype up the crowd, his hands contain a diverse collection of items. As a reminder, in Anatomy Land, anything held in the character's right hand signifies the origin of the muscle, and anything held in the character's left hand signifies the insertion. Maximus holds a ferocious lion leashed in his right hand. Like Hercules before him, Gluteus Maximus is a lion tamer. But have no fear, William the lion is a gentle creature, imported all the way from the savannas of Libya. The leash, royal purple in celebration of Maximus's victories, is only there to keep the crowd calm. His name, William, represents that the first origin of the Gluteus Maximus is the ilium of the pelvis, and the purple leash represents that the Gluteus Maximus specifically originates on the posterior surface of the ilium, posterior to the posterior gluteal line. Of course, Maximus is not above a little liquid courage before a battle. As a devotee of the gods, he carries a purple and light blue bottle of sacred rum in his right hand, representing that the Gluteus Maximus also originates on the posterior and lateral surfaces of the sacrum. Notice how the rum in this bottle is a mix of light blue and purple. Looks like this is some sort of ancient rum punch made from the finest of berries, a true elixir of the gods. Also in Maximus's right hand is a rooster, who is no stranger to fighting himself. Maximus has even bred his roosters to be light blue, demonstrating their splendor. As light blue represents lateral in Anatomy Land, this rooster represents the Gluteus Maximus muscle's 3rd point of origin, the lateral coccyx. Finally, Maximus's right hand has a leashed pig carrying a bottle of sacred rum and a sack of tubers to satiate the general's hunger and thirst. This represents that the last origin point for the Gluteus Maximus is the sacrotuberous ligament, which connects the lateral sacrum and ischial tuberosity of the pelvic bone. Look at the stuffed version of William that Maximus holds in his left hand. Our general is no stranger to shrewd branding. Now you too can bring a William home. This line of stuffed William the Lion comes complete with a Libyan flag, as William was originally from Libya. As part of a special promotion, this toy William also holds what looks to be a potato tuber in its mouth, inscribed with the word Gertie, an homage to Maximus's trainer. Since Libya represents tibial in Anatomy Land and William the Lion represents ilium, this Libyan William represents the first insertion point of the Gluteus Maximus, the iliotibial tract. This long fibrous thickening of the thigh's deep fascia, the fascia lata, runs down the lateral side of the thigh from the iliac crest to a point on the anterolateral aspect of the lateral condyle of the tibia, represented by William's tuber, known as Gertie's tubercle. Maximus must have come to the Colosseum extra hungry today because he has another large potato in his left hand. This special potato is inscribed with the gluteal crest to show it comes from his personal farms. This large tuber with the gluteal crest represents that the second point of insertion for the Gluteus Maximus is the gluteal tuberosity. In addition to his supreme skill with gladiator weapons, General Gluteus Maximus is an accomplished martial artist. Watch as he performs his signature knee strike to the roar of the fans. This represents that, in terms of actions, the Gluteus Maximus is the main extensor of the hip. Additionally, only its upper fibers abduct the hip. For secondary actions, it assists in lateral rotation. Let's turn our attention to the second level of the podium, occupied by renowned charioteer Gluteus Medius. Talk about a power couple. Gluteus Medius represents the fan-shaped muscle of the same name, which lies deep to the Gluteus Maximus and superficial to the Gluteus Minimus. Roman traditions require her to stand below her husband, but don't be fooled, she is an equally capable warrior. Her position only represents the location of the Gluteus Medius in relation to the Gluteus Maximus. Gluteus Medius holds a leash of royal purple, also a token of her victories, in her right hand to restrain gentle William. The purple leash represents that the Gluteus Medius originates specifically on the posterior surface of the ilium between the anterior and posterior gluteal lines. In her left hand, Gluteus Medius holds a lemur with a chariot wheel in its paws. The lemur was the symbol of her family before she married Maximus, and it's been trained to hold this large chariot wheel at all times, as Medius is the greatest charioteer in Rome. As the word wheel in Greek is trokos, this should remind you that this muscle inserts on the greater trochanter of the lemur or femur. As a charioteer, Medius has exceptional balance, which she demonstrates by sticking out her leg and balancing on one foot. This illustrates that the main function of the Gluteus Medius muscle is to abduct the thigh at the hip. Its anterior fibers medially rotate the thigh at the hip. It also acts to secure the pelvis during walking, keeping it level and preventing it from tilting towards the non-weight-bearing limb. Watch Medius pace back and forth on the podium, working the crowd. Next to this powerful couple is their son, Gluteus Minimus, representing the Gluteus Minimus Muscle. One day, he hopes to be the greatest gladiator ever. This fan-shaped muscle is the deepest and smallest muscle of the superficial gluteal muscles, situated just deep to the Gluteus Medius Muscle. Just as sons take after their mothers, its actions are similar to the Gluteus Medius Muscle. In homage to his parents, Gluteus Minimus also holds a purple leash to subdue William, representing that the Gluteus Minimus muscle also originates on the ilium, specifically on the gluteal or posterior surface between the anterior and inferior gluteal lines. Little Minimus also harbors dreams of chariot racing, so he came with his own pet lemur trained to hold a large chariot wheel. To spice it up, he asked the toy maker to give his wheel a sweet amber and light blue paint job. This represents that the Gluteus Minimus also inserts on the greater trochanter of the femur, specifically on its anterolateral surface. Gluteus Minimus is also a skilled martial artist, and his favorite move is the sidekick. Aw, look at his little foot. This represents the actions the Gluteus Minimus allows, the abduction and medial rotation of the thigh at the hip. It also acts to secure the pelvis during walking, keep it level, and prevent it from tilting towards the non-weight-bearing limb. Let's meet Tensi, the Gluteus family's biggest fan. She stands out from the crowd with the stylish sash she wears, which allows her to hold her latte without even using her hands. Remember that in Anatomy Land, sashes represent fascia. So, tensi with her sash and latte represents the tensor fasciae lata muscle. This muscle is enclosed between two layers of fascia lata, the deep fascia of the thigh, and is located more laterally on the hip region than the other superficial gluteal muscles, slightly anterior and superior to the main portion of the iliotibial tract. It's Tensi's lucky day. She's been randomly selected from the crowd to hold a final leash to William the Lion. Her leash is the expensive color of amber, as she's just a fan and has not yet earned the royal purple of Colosseum victories. This represents that the tensor fasciae lata originates on the ilium, specifically the anterior surface of the iliac crest, between the anterior superior iliac spine and the tubercle of the iliac crest. As the gluteal family's biggest fan, she's a little tense from the anxiety of wanting her favorite gladiators to win, but she already holds a stuffed Libyan William in her left hand. That's the spirit. This represents that the tensor fasciae lata inserts into the iliotibial tract, which ultimately attaches to the lateral condyle of the tibia at Gertie's tubercle. For actions, the tensor fasciae lata muscle abducts, medially rotates, and helps flex the thigh at the hip. Note that the tensor fasciae lata doesn't work alone, but works in concert with nearby muscles to produce these actions, assisting the gluteus medius and gluteus minimus in abduction and medial rotation of the thigh, and stabilizing the pelvis during walking. Watch as Tensi mimics the actions of minimus and medius, cheering with the crowd.